Artificial intelligence is dangerous. You have been warned. The idea that humans will one day be destroyed by their own cybernetic creations is to the average person a laughable concept that has been played out numerous times in science fiction. However, it is more realistic than you think. These works of fiction in which this scenario plays out serve as a warning to us all. This was the main driving force behind my project, as I've always feared the concept. When I set out to make my film, instead of going all in with an AI whose actions have disastrous consequences for humanity, I decided to focus on a more personal story that showed the consequences and dangers that advanced AI could pose to one person. My reasoning behind this was so that people could see how it affects them on a personal and perhaps a more relatable level. Therefore, the AI in my film, Callie, operates and interacts with the character in a similar way to how our smartphones do today, so that it seems like a natural evolution from the digital assistants that we have today. My main inspiration for this came from existing works of science fiction that feature both friendly and evil forms of AI. I looked at different ways that they were portrayed and the types of characters that they were, from the friendly.
And I am C-3PO, Human-Cyborg Relations, and this is my counterpart, R2-D2.
Hello.
To the sinister.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
To the downright evil ones that just want to destroy humanity. But by far, my biggest inspiration of how to portray Callie came from 2008's Iron Man that introduced the character of Jarvis, a benevolent AI built by the character Tony Stark that is designed to assist him. When Stark is using the Iron Man suit, Jarvis can interact with him and display information to him using a heads-up display interface.
Alright, what do you say?
This concept was something I really liked, and since the AI in my film is a brain chip that the character has implanted, I came up with the idea that it could manipulate the brain to make the character essentially hallucinate a heads-up display in order to display information to them. Whilst this isn't specifically referenced in my production, it links to the idea that because the chip has a direct link to the brain, it can control other cognitive functions such as movement, which is how it's able to force the character Finn to kill someone against his will. Finding my voice actress for Callie came completely by accident. This person who was on set volunteered to read the lines during filming so that Andreas could have someone to play off with the dialogue.
Systems initializing. All commands and software loaded. Good morning, Finn.
So what can you actually do?
I was amazed at how her intonations and accent were able to perfectly capture the synthetic feel I needed. For the POV shots, we came up with the idea of using a head-mounted GoPro on my actor. This was very complex to organise, especially when filming, as we had to direct the actors while still being very aware of where they were looking, and as a result, how the shot looked. I had to also make sure that those that weren't supposed to be in the shot, including myself, were not accidentally in view of the camera. It also ended up getting very frustrating as we would have to record the same scene twice, once with the main character and once again with the GoPro in order to get both the different perspectives. This meant we had to be meticulous in our detailing to make sure that the scene matched up with the footage from both cameras. For the HUD graphics, I had originally intended to try creating them myself in Photoshop and After Effects. Unfortunately, I soon found out that I didn't have enough time, nor the skill or ability, to create the kind of complex and realistic animations that I wanted. This led me to try and source some templates online that I could use instead. Once I was able to source something that suited the scene, I did make some changes to it, such as adding new animations, distortion effects, changing the colour grading, or changing or adding text and reversing some footage. This all added up to create the desired effect in certain places that I wanted. The interesting thing about this project is that it is driven by the message throughout that artificial intelligence is dangerous, and we should all be careful about its development. This meant that its target audience was never intended to be just one specific group of people. I want this message to reach as many people as it possibly could, which is why I wanted to make the characters in this film and the world they live in as relatable and as normal as possible. If I had to pick a specific audience of who it would appeal to most, I would say primarily sci-fi fans and then horror fans. The reason I say sci-fi fans first is because that is the basic genre of my film that is prevalent throughout. The horror elements don't really become obvious until the third act, which I believe is the most notable part of my film, as it's really where things start to go wrong with the AI, and as a result, for my character. Overall, the focus of my film was the warning about AI, and I just used the sci-fi and to a certain extent the horror genre as a backdrop, which I used to tell the story. If genre had been my main focus, then I likely would have made a documentary on the subject. However, it's the compelling nature of stories that reaches people so profoundly, which is why I think a science fiction film was the perfect and most effective way of telling this story and getting across the message to people about the dangers of artificial intelligence.